Okay. Well, we're back on my backup channel. As you know, as most of you know, last week there was some kind of problem. YouTube fucked up or something, and my primary channel got suspended. That was resolved by Sunday, but when I tried to start the stream on the primary channel a few minutes ago, it wouldn't work for some reason. So now I've got to fiddle with that. I don't know why it wouldn't work. I didn't change anything, but it's not working. So we're on the backup channel again. It's very frustrating. YouTube. I don't know why you're doing this to me. But anyway, here we are. On the backup channel, ready to talk about the final deletion! Oh, boy. What the hell did we watch on Tuesday? I don't know. So yeah, let's get started. If you guys can hear me okay, please let me know in the comments section. Chat room, whatever. I really missed the comments section. That was easier to follow. Okay, audio's working fine. All right, let's do it. Impact Wrestling from July 5th. The final deletion. So our show begins with Mike Bennett coming out, not wanting to wait until Destination X to cash in Option C. He wants to do it right now. Wants to get that world title shot against Lashley right now. But Dixie Carter is back to put a stop to this, because when you've got a show with more buzz going for it than any show you've done in recent memory, one of the first things you want the fans to see is a Dixie Carter talking segment. Anyway, she says that what Mike Bennett did is basically an insult to the X Division, blah, blah, blah. The kind of stuff that you'd want someone who's actually in the X Division to be saying to Mike Bennett, but instead it's being said by Dixie Carter, without any of the X Division stars even making an appearance here. Because. So to get back at the Bennetts for all the stuff they've pulled recently, Dixie makes Mike Bennett defend the X title in an Ultimate X match against the entire X Division roster. So that's like 6 or 7 guys. I question why they did this instead of giving Eddie Edwards his contractually obligated rematch for the title, because this is screwing Eddie just as much as it's screwing Mike Bennett. I mean, Eddie has to beat 6 other people too. How is that fair to Eddie Edwards? It's not. Even though he did end up winning the title back in that match, it doesn't change that, you know? But let's just call a spade here. This was essentially just a way for Mike Bennett to lose the title back to Eddie Edwards without having to get pinned by him. So Eddie doesn't even really get his heat back on Mike, even though he did win his title back here. A couple of things about this match. Number one, I think it was less than 10 minutes. That's horse shit. Okay? If you're gonna do an Ultimate X match, do a fucking Ultimate X match. Don't just throw it out there to pop the crowd and not give it any time at all and not treat it like it means anything. That's stupid. They've done it entirely too much in recent years. Number two, the booking was screwed up because they're trying to do this thing where Mike Bennett can't traverse the ropes, can't get across the ropes because he's too big or too heavy or whatever. But he's really not that much bigger than the X Division guys. It's not like he's 300, 400 plus or something. He's certainly light enough to do it. You know, he should be able to get across those ropes easily enough, and then pretending that he can't just looks silly. Number three, Mark Andrews is a crazy person. That moonsault off the stanchion pole, holy shit! That's why Mark Andrews needs more fucking TV time. Spot was insane, but ultimately, that's all the match was. Just a bunch of spots. And that's the problem I have. Cool spots, yes. But really, this match just reminded me of how much I missed the days when the Ultimate X was something special. When it was a match that feuds built up to and culminated in. When they actually promoted it ahead of time. when it was done, when there was a good reason in storyline to do it. Now it's just a big spot fest match to pop the crowd with a whole bunch of bodies in it that don't really mean anything. They're not in there because they belong in the match or earn spots in it or because they're feuding for the title. They're in there just to do, the big crazy high spot moves. It's fun to watch, but afterward the whole thing just feels hollow. I don't know, maybe that makes me a bad smark or whatever, but I didn't feel fulfilled by this match, Moving on to something that did not feel hollow was James Storm challenging for the King of the Mountain Championship against Eli Drake. Thought it was too soon to do this. I would have preferred another promo segment or something backstage maybe to build this up more before they do the title match, but this wasn't bad or anything. Decent match. The finish I thought was fine because I don't want to see either guy get pinned, so this gets around that nicely enough, and it makes Eli Drake look like a hateable guy that you want to see lose the title, and that's something that was missing. A King of the Mountain champion that makes you care about whether he keeps the title or loses it. The next step would be giving him feuds that people give a shit about and letting him hold on to the title for a decent amount of time. This was a good start. I'm still not sure how they end it without damaging somebody, though. After this, we have a street fight. So that's an Ultimate X, a street fight, and the final deletion all in the same night. That's too many damn gimmick matches in the same show. Okay, you do this too much and they just all bleed together and start to mean less and less. And it doesn't help when you barely give them any time. You got a story about two former best friends here who now hate each other because one turned on the other, costing her championship. This apparently is the big blow-off match, and they gave it like less than 6 minutes. That was a disservice to both these girls. It really was. I would call this more of a standard hardcore match than a street fight. The bit with the nunchucks was fun, but it was slow-paced. There wasn't as much intensity as you'd think there was. It felt like there should have been more to this, really. Story-wise, match-wise, I think they were hindered by a lack of time and a lack of attention given to this feud, so it never really gained any momentum. I mean, 2 matches and it's over? That's it? Is that the most attention you can give to a feud that doesn't involve Gail Kim in the Knockouts division? Is that the best you can do unless Gail is in there? Because that's pretty lame. And there's enough history between these girls, between Marty and Jade, that they could have done a lot more with this, and they just didn't go for it. We never got to hear from Jade with how she felt about her best friend stabbing her in the back. I mean, she never said a word about this. This feud had potential, but there were a lot of things that they just passed on for whatever reason. I hate to say it, but the whole thing just felt like a really transparent way to get Jade out of the title picture so Gail Kim could take her place. Maybe they'll put Jade back in the title picture now, but it's just a waste of potential here. So next we have the Bennetts calling out Dixie Carter. Because what this highly buzzed about show desperately needed was 2 Dixie Carter talking segments. That's what the fans want to see, right? Is Dixie Carter in their faces taking up mic time as much as possible? Finger on the pulse as always. So the Bennetts are pissed off about Mike being put in a position to lose the title. Maria thinks that she should be the president of the company instead of Dixie Carter, screaming, "It's you or me, Dixie! You or me! You or me! You or me!" Getting really hysterical and shit, and it's kind of like that scene in Breaking Bad where Skyler is like, "Shut up! Shut 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 up!" Ironically, this did end up provoking a pretty entertaining reaction from Billy Corgan. It was certainly the most emotion he's shown so far, and that was probably the best on the mic that he's been up to this point. So I'm not going to crap on the segment or anything, though I did think it was really unnecessary. This could have been easily covered in a shorter backstage pre-tape, and then they could have given that extra time to the Ultimate X or the Street Fight or both. Long story short, Mike Bennett is so enraged that Dixie caused him to lose the X Division title that he plans to ruin Destination X next week. So the upshot is that even though he doesn't have the X Division title, Destination X still looks like it's going to be a vehicle for Mike Bennett instead of the X Division. What's wrong with this picture? I do like the intrigue here because you know he's going to do something, but you don't know what. But they've really taken the focus off of what the X Division is supposed to be about, and when that's literally the one time out of the whole year when the X Division is supposed to get focused on, that's kind of troubling, you know? And then, oh, Jesus Christ. Leave it to the fucking bromance to make me absolutely dread a Decay segment just because they're going to be involved in it. For fuck's sake. So Jesse shows this footage that he found with his peeping Tom camera of Rosemary making out with Bram. In private, mind you. Because that's what a babyface does, apparently. He films people's private moments like a fucking pervert and then shows them in public on national TV. If it was a heel doing this, everyone would be calling Goddard a complete prick. But for some reason, we're supposed to cheer this. I don't know why. Makes Goddard look like a complete asshole, quite frankly. So then they have a 6-person tag match. And the way this was booked made no sense to me. The bromance win. Fuck that, first of all. Alright? But they win because apparently the Rosemary Bram thing threw off the Decay or something. That's what they told us. I guess that's what the story was supposed to be. But that's really not what happened. This revelation causing dissent in the Decay or causing confusion so they're not on the same page or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that really factored into the match. Or if it did, then it wasn't as much as it should have been, because I didn't really see them acting out of the ordinary. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but I didn't see them acting strangely at all. I didn't see them acting differently or anything. They seemed to be working more or less normally. You know, Rosemary attacked, I think it was Jesse, to save Steve from him. There didn't seem to be any notable tension here. And then perhaps the biggest insult was Raquel beating on Rosemary, getting the better of Rosemary, which seriously made me want to put my fist through the fucking TV screen. Okay, Rosemary has been one of this show's MVPs for months. Ever since she debuted. She's one of the best performers on this entire roster, bar none. This girl kills it every single time she's on the screen. Everything they've given her, she has made it work. Rosemary, second only to the Decay themselves, should have been protected in this match. But you get her, having her getting taken surprise by Raquel of all people. Raquel, who has done... Raquel, who has not done a goddamn thing in wrestling, mind you, who hasn't proven anything, who got hired off of a reality show with zero experience, literally zero experience, who was only put on TV in the first place because of the way she looks, and I challenge anyone to disagree with me on that. To use Rosemary to make Raquel look good, it's horseshit. Rosemary should be destroying idiots like this. And the Decay should be destroying idiots like the fucking Bromance who are only in this spot in the first place because the Wolves can't go for the titles right now. I really hope that this is all some kind of swerve and it's leading to the Decay revealing that they were playing mind games with the Bromance the whole time, because this made me nervous that TNA don't realize what they have with the Decay and with Rosemary, and I was pretty disgusted by this segment, to tell you the truth. I was pretty disgusted. Thankfully, we then moved on to something that was a lot better. It's time for Eddie Edwards to announce what he is going to do about Option C. Of course, Lashley comes out to get in his face, and Eddie proceeds to cut what was easily the best promo I've ever seen him cut about how much of a tough SOB he is, finished a match with a broken heel, winning the ladder war match with a broken arm. I love that they mentioned that. I do think that they could have done more to build up to this moment for Eddie, because the focus was more on Mike Bennett the whole time. But Eddie did a good job with this promo here. They even let him get over on Lashley with him cutting off that spear with the knee to the head. I like that a lot. Even so, they don't really have the strongest story going in, though they did at least find a new twist to put on the situation, making it title versus title this time, instead of Eddie having to relinquish the belt. That said, if either one of these guys becomes X Division and World Champion, I'll be surprised, and it would probably be a mistake to do that. So I'm expecting Mike Bennett to get involved and probably cause a DQ or get the match thrown out or something. It is the predictable way to go, but the writers put themselves in a tough spot here where either title changing hands would feel like a mistake to me, so this is the easiest way to get around that. Anyway, last thing before the main event. We have a split-screen interview with EC3 and Galloway, and I actually really like how this came together. It looks like it's going to be a real one-on-one feud here for the time being, at least while Lashley is preoccupied. And I'm impressed with the way they've really gotten under each other's skin lately, EC3 and Drew have, to the point where there's legitimate hostility between these guys without having to turn one of them heel. You know, they're both still technically babyface. That may change later on, and I think a heel turn might not be a bad idea in Galloway's case. But for right now, they're just two babyfaces who have a serious gripe with each other. Each one blames the other for costing him the world title, and that works. That's been done very well, in my opinion. And at last, we come to the main event, to the final Deletion! And I was saving the whole thing for last, because God knows nothing could possibly follow it. Wow. For starters, TNA actually did a really great job hyping this. And I don't mean they did a great job for TNA. I mean, they did a great job. You're sending out pre-screeners, getting reaction videos from wrestling personalities, wrestling journalists. They got one from Max Landis, the screenwriter who wrote Chronicle, among other things. And all of these people seem to be in agreement that the final Deletion was one of the fucking craziest things they'd ever seen. You know, some of them were in complete disbelief, some of them couldn't stop laughing, so whether people thought this was going to be absolutely amazing or just the dumbest thing ever, a whole lot of people were really freaking curious about it. So believe it or not, TNA actually generated a lot of buzz for this simply by, here's a crazy thought, advertising. Creative, unconventional advertising, and it worked! Now, why can't they do that more often? I couldn't tell you. But there it is. So, with a lot of eyes on the screen, TNA really needed to deliver the goods here. Whether it was good or bad, it needed to make an impact. It needed to be memorable. And it definitely was that. I can honestly say that I have never seen anything like this in wrestling before. The production was great. There was no commentary, which I think helped a lot. The music, I think, worked very well. It was filmed differently from the way wrestling normally is. Remember that the Motor City Gen Me empty arena fight? It was filmed kind of like that, except with a lot of crane shots. Production-wise, it looked incredibly unique. And on the creative end, it was... oh boy. I don't know what they were smoking when they put this together, but I want some. How the hell do I even describe this? Oh, man. Okay, so you've got Jeff getting attacked in his house by flying drones, or rather Matt's fleet of aerial assault robots, broadcasting Matt's voice. Jeff beating them away with his fucking guitar. And the last drone, a Vanguard 1, he calls it, projects a fucking hologram of Matt to distract Jeff and send him chasing after the drone on his dirt bike to get him out of the house, just so Matt could ride a mower around the place and ruin Jeff's lawn. Oh my Christ. Because of all the ways he could have gotten Jeff out of the house, Matt decided to use talking drones and holograms, right? Because that's what you do. You... Christ. You know, from now on, I want Matt to cut every promo like that. I want, like, he'll get, like, they'll do an interview segment backstage, and JB will be trying to interview Matt, but he'll just be holding the microphone up to a drone that's projecting Matt's hologram. And Matt is like locked in his dressing room, and he's conducting the whole interview via the flying drone. Oh, God help me, I laughed. And then it got weirder. Then we come to the actual match itself. It starts with Matt just like playing a violin of all things as Jeff arrives at the ring they set up for this. And then we see, Jesus Christ, Jeff doing a swanton off a fucking tree onto Matt that he has lying on top of a ladder. They set up across the ropes. Matt choking Jeff with a ladder, screaming, "Delete! Delete! Delete!" Them shooting fireworks at each other. Matt drowning Jeff in the lake, only for Jeff to rise from the water as Willow somehow, to then get tased in the back by Senor Benjamin. And then Matt pins Willow, but it's actually Senor Benjamin that Jeff knocked out and dressed as Willow in a matter of seconds off screen. So then they fight into this big ditch, but it's actually a gravesite with this massive fucking replica of Jeff's insignia at the front of it. So Jeff chokes out Matt in the grave, climbs to the top of the insignia replica thing, getting ready to swanton Matt into the grave. But then Rebby somehow passes Matt one of Maxwell's birthday candles or something, and he uses it to light the entire fucking thing on fire, with Jeff still on it. So Jeff falls off. Matt pins him for the 1, 2, 3, and finally, it's over! Holy shit. You know what? I don't know if the final deletion lived up to the hype or not. That depends on what you were expecting out of this, but it was definitely something you'll never forget. There will not be a more memorable segment in any wrestling company this year. It was cartoonish, ridiculous, utterly divorced from reality, and absolutely batshit insane. And as God is my witness, I could not look away. This was... This was just... This was like the pro wrestling equivalent of Sharknado, where the best way to enjoy it is to just sit back and embrace the sheer unadulterated lunacy of the whole thing. And if you can do that, you probably really got a kick out of it. I can't say this wasn't entertaining. It was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. And I kind of loved it for that. It took them until the last match. But I think they finally got the broken Matt Hardy thing to work by going so over the top with it that I just couldn't not laugh. And yeah, that has to be the last match. That has to be the end of this feud. It has to be. You can't continue it after that. There's no way. Anything after the final deletion would be a step down because it does not get any better or worse than that. And they can't keep this up. They can't just continue with the broken Matt thing because it kind of existed in its own little universe, separate from everything else. And you can really only do that once. It was memorable because it was so different. You couldn't make the whole show like this, and I wouldn't want them to try. So I don't know where the hell they go from here. Maybe broken Matt Hardy becomes fixed Matt Hardy or something. Either way, I want him to cut every promo from a drone. He has to do that. He has to. So ultimately, I think you have to call the final deletion a big success. It might not have been for everybody, but whether you loved it or you hated it, either way, you watched it and you were talking about it. And it got them their highest ratings yet on Pop TV by a considerable margin, so we got to put this one in the win column, I think. So TNA stuck the landing with the final deletion. Good or bad, it was memorable. And considering the amount of hype and buzz for this going in, that's exactly what they needed. By comparison, the hype for Destination X was minimal. There was a lot more focus on what Mike Bennett is going to do to ruin Destination X than there was on Destination X itself. And that's going to be an issue. But they got some cool stuff lined up for next week. EC3 Galloway should be great. So will Eddie versus Lashley, which has the added intrigue of what Mike Bennett is going to do. Also, there's a four-way for the Knockouts title, because I guess Jade is just not getting her one-on-one rematch at all. I don't know why Gail is getting another shot when she lost to Sienna last time, but whatever. She's in there too. Well, they also have an they also took it upon themselves to announce an actual X Division match for Destination X. There's going to be a ladder match for the number one contendership, because we gotta have a gimmick match in there, I guess. So I'm gonna call this a good show. But yeah, they did announce a bunch of stuff. Love it or hate it. So I'm going to call this a good show overall, even though there was more Dixie Carter than I cared to see, and the bromance going over the Decay like that was complete and utter a steaming pile of horse shit. Yeah, they don't get a pass on that stuff. But overall, I'm going to call this a good show, because they built up to the final deletion that had more hype than anything they've done, and I can't even remember how long. And love it or hate it, it delivered what they needed it to. So I'm going to call that a success. And let's go to the Peanut Gallery. Okay. Your channel has been working for a while. Why are we on a backup? We are on the backup because even though my primary channel was reinstated, when I tried to start the stream from the primary channel, it wouldn't work. I don't know. I guess in the process of reinstating my channel, YouTube, I guess, reset something. I don't know. I'm going to have to screw around with it. But long story short is the stream on the primary channel wouldn't work, so I switched to the backup, and that worked. So I guess until I get the primary channel fixed, we're going to continue on the backup for now. I'm not happy about it, but that's the situation. Let's see. I'm absolutely speechless about the final deletion. I want to say so much, but I don't even know what to start with. Hands down, Hardy's. Yeah. I was pretty speechless for a while afterwards, too. It took me a couple days and a couple rewatches to really get my mind around it. It's like, how do you react to something like that? I don't know. I've noticed that in the past you had to jump down from the cables to the canvas with the title to be considered the winner. Now you just have to get possession of it and it's done. Yeah, I think they changed the rules based on what they want to have happen in the match. I don't like that. Seems like kind of a shortcut. Feels a little bit cheap to me. So I don't like that. I like the rules to be consistent. But that's what they did. I wonder how TNA will follow up the final deletion on Tuesday. Tuesday's live Impact. With Destination X, once again, a theme show comes up in the wrong time, in my opinion. The wrong time? I don't know. I think a theme show is okay. I mean, they usually put more effort into hyping the theme shows, at least a little bit. Plus, we can assume that at least some of those extra viewers will stick around for next week. So, like I said, they did. They did hype up next week's show a lot. They announced a bunch of matches for it. Compared to what they usually do, I mean, this does have Destination X does have a lot of hype, not X Division related hype, but hype. So I think it's okay. I think a much bigger problem is that I believe the week after Destination X is when they're switching to Thursdays with very little notice. So you did this huge final deletion thing that you hyped the hell out of that actually succeeded in drawing in a lot of new viewers. And then 2 weeks later, you're switching to a different night and time where you're going to have to rebuild your audience again. Where you're going to have to hope that people find you on your new night and time again. So, far more than a theme show, that's going to kill the audience. I don't think Destination X will kill the extra viewership. I think switching nights and times will. That's... Unfortunately, not a whole lot they could do about that because they had to get away from SmackDown. Because they remember what happened the last time they went head-to-head with WWE. They're not eager to do that again anytime soon. Of course, they could have announced this a hell of a lot sooner. I don't know why they didn't. So TNA decided to move their show to Thursdays, and not only that, they not inform us about it less than 2 weeks before the move, but they don't even put it on the most hyped Impact of the year. Well, these shows were filmed weeks in advance, probably before that decision was made. But yeah, I mean, they could have done 80-yard commentary with Josh and Pope to put in notices about it. They could have put graphics on the screen to show that, hey, yeah, the show is moving to Thursdays at 8. Check it out. They could have put a little, the final deletion thing was entirely post-produced off-site, so they could have put a little, a little ticker graphic in there saying the show is moving to Thursdays at 8. They could have gotten the word out sooner. Yeah, they could have. I don't know why they didn't. That's a big brain fart right there. Cool idea from Jade. She has to wrestle her demons back to the title. Feuds with Marty since she screwed her, then Gail since overshadowed her. It would be cool if that actually happened, but that's really not the case. I think the feud with Marty should have been a lot more compelling than it turned out to be, but we never got any context for it in Jade's case. Jade never said what it meant to her that her best friend stabbed her in the back. She didn't cut any promos at all. So we never got to hear how she felt about the whole thing, and then it was over in 2 matches. That's how they sold it. After the street fight was over, they said that was the end of the feud, the announcers did. So the feud never even really got going. It was over almost as soon as it started. And I don't think Gail overshadowing Jade is going to be something that they acknowledge, because that would reflect poorly on Gail, which is something they never allow to happen ever, because Gail is protected so damn much. So it would be nice if that was the case, but it's really not what happened, or if that's what they were going for, they half-assed it. I hate that TNA had to switch nights yet again due to SmackDown moving to Tuesdays starting on July 19th. Unfortunately, they had no choice. What they did have a choice about was advertising it ahead of time, or more so ahead of time, or maybe doing it sooner to maybe allow their audience to build back up and find them on the new night before the final deletion. Because I feel like all those extra viewers they sucked in are just going to get lost now. Truthfully, I would have loved to see what would have happened with SmackDown going up against Impact, but I like the move to Thursday, plus Shield fans don't have to choose between shows now. That's true. It will be a little more convenient for me because I watch other shows on Tuesday night, so I don't have to watch half the show live and half of it online. So that'll be helpful. Although I do have a weekly stream I do on Thursdays during the regular TV season, so that'll be a little tricky, but we'll see. Oh wait, I'm sorry. This was part 2 of 120. Okay, cool idea for Jade. She has to wrestle her demons back to the title. Feuds with Marty since she screwed her. Then Gail since she overshadowed her. Part 2, then Monster heel Sienna to win the belt back, so Jade has to beat everyone that somehow hurt her in the first reign. Again, would be a good idea if that was what they were going for, but I'm not sure it is. I think their intention here is to kind of put the focus back on Gail up to Bound for Glory, which is where they're probably going to have Gail win the title back. I wouldn't put it past them. I think that would be an incredibly stupid idea because Gail doesn't need the Knockouts title anymore. I mean, she hasn't even been the champion recently, and she's still been the focus of the division. So it's putting the belt on Gail, again, would be completely unnecessary. You can have her do her thing with the Maria feud, and then let the other girls fight over the title. Give them something to do, you know? Gail does not need the Knockouts title. She's pretty much above the title now. Are you going to watch UFC 100 tonight? Yeah. Want to see how Brock does. And I also want to see the Miesha Tate fight. I like Miesha Tate a lot. Will they begin airing at 8 p.m. Eastern when they move back to Thursday starting at 21st? I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern, yeah. Raquel looked pretty good in that match. She's coming along nicely. Well, she looked okay, but let's remember a few things. Let's keep a few things in mind here. One, it was a post-produced show, was not live, so if she screwed up anything, they would have been able to edit that out. Also, they kept her involvement pretty minimal. We still don't know how she's going to do when all eyes are on her, when the spotlight is on her and she has to really deliver. She did okay here, but this was a situation where it's if you have to use Raquel, this is kind of how you do it. You put a lot of people around her to keep the attention off her, and you keep her involvement minimal. And she did what she needed to do here. And considering how little experience she has, she probably could be a lot worse. But she still hasn't proven anything. I still don't trust her not to screw up. So, I'm sorry. I really objected to her being signed in the first place, and I remain very skeptical of her. They signed her with zero experience, none. For what? Just because she was on a reality show, a WWE produced reality show for 5 minutes. That doesn't mean she's any good. It doesn't mean she's going to amount to anything. And it doesn't mean that she should be getting over on Rosemary. Rosemary is the one with the good track record. She's the one who's the proven performer. Raquel is the one who has to prove herself. And until then, she shouldn't be getting over on anybody, in my opinion. It's just the way I feel. Okay. Number 2, I'm actually really behind on Impact these days for similar reasons as to why I haven't been here for the reviews lately, but I still couldn't escape all the hype about the final deletion. Yeah. They actually did a really good job getting the word out this time. I don't know why they can't do that more often. Because it worked. What accent was Matt doing? I think he was doing the original one this time. I think it's shaky at the best of times. He seems to have trouble keeping it consistent, but I think he was more or less doing just one accent this time. So yeah, I have to agree that the hype and curiosity surrounding that segment has been tremendous. Yeah. Let's see. Even WWE is now apparently copying part of this story wholesale with the Wyatt family versus New Day Compound Challenge stuff. So yeah, I think TNA absolutely wins here. Oh yeah, looks like WWE is going to shamelessly rip them off, just like Vince was ripping off all the other companies in the territory days. God, that company has no shame. You see somebody else doing something good, they gotta steal it. Because God forbid they have an original fucking idea of their own. I know TNA is copied stuff from other companies before, you know. I think the six-sided ring they got from AAA or Mexico or whatever. Like I said, Feast or Fire match. It's just copying the fucking Money in the Bank match. It's the same basic thing. But here TNA did something really original and unique. Maybe it was inspired by some Lucha Underground stuff, but I think it was unique unto itself. And now WWE looks like they're just going to rip the whole thing off. We haven't seen it yet, but it sounds like that's what they're going for, and I think that's pretty despicable. Let's see. The comment last week of Sienna winning but still facing Gale was half right. Hopefully Jade or Sienna win. I hope Sienna wins. I thought it was too soon for Jade to lose the title, but now it's too soon for Sienna to lose the title. Because if she loses it now, then we just have two underwhelming title reigns in a row, and I don't want that. I don't like how we got here, but we're here now, and we have to make this title reign work before we switch it to somebody else. That's my feeling on Sienna's title reign. She's a champion now, so we got to roll with her for a while, make this a good, memorable title reign, and then, and only then, do you switch it to somebody else. The way you're describing it tells me they have absolutely embraced the absurdity of the entire Hardy storyline, which is exactly what we in this part of common sense call playing to strengths. Yeah, this was the first time that I liked what they did with the whole broken Matt stuff. I think before, it was dumb, but I think they could have made it work, but they weren't going far enough with it. There's a line you have to cross where you pass from bad into so bad it's good territory, and that's what they finally did here. It got the absurdity rose to such a level that it became just hilariously awesome. TNA should do more matches on location with different wrestlers. Well, if this was any indication, I think this proved that they can pull that off and make it look good. I wouldn't want them to do it all the time, but for special occasions, when the story calls for it, and when they can do something good and original and unique and different with it, then yeah, go on location and do something with different characters. But don't overuse it. Because TNA have a habit of doing that. When they find something that works, they run it into the ground. Like Ultimate X. How many Ultimate X's have we had over the years? They've done so many of these damn things that they don't feel special anymore. Monsters Ball is the same way. There's nothing special about a Monsters Ball anymore. They have them like every couple of weeks. And like I said, the final Deletion match was special because it was so different and unique. And if you start doing that all the time, it won't be unique anymore. And the specialness will wear off. Let's see. Senor Benjamin is more over than Roman Reigns. Did you see the graphic they put on the Twitter page? One of those "We're moving to Thursday" graphics, and one of them was a picture of Senor Benjamin. Hashtag over. I can see why Russo liked the final Deletion now. Even he wouldn't be able to book this art. Yeah, Russo said this was like the greatest thing he'd ever seen in wrestling. How about that? Let's just call this current Hardy feud the Saints Row of professional wrestling storylines. Eh. Okay, that's a reference that went over my head. Senor Benjamin equals ratings. It's amazing how much that guy got over. He's like a made man now. If you brought him into the Impact Zone, he'd get a huge pop. We're going to see Senor Benjamin signs in the crowd next week. Oh, boy. How the hell can TNA top that Hardy match this coming week? I don't know that they will. And I don't think they have to. It would be hard to top that. You'd have to get even more creative, even more unique. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it needs to. I think they just don't. They need to not focus on topping it so much as just delivering a really good show to capitalize on the buzz they got. And I think they need to remember it, to highlight it, show video packages of the final deletion. Because they also have a habit of doing something really cool and then not, following up on it afterwards, not like mentioning it again like they should, not paying it off. So I think they need to pay homage to what they did, and show highlight reels of it and stuff, and not focus so much on topping it, just making sure they don't forget about it, shall we say. Let's see. I knew Hardy versus Hardy would have people talking, but I didn't expect it to be as huge as it was, so big credit to them. Jade and Marty are two women I wanted TNA to sign for about 5 years. That match showed the reason why. Okay, so you liked it. I didn't dislike the match, I just thought it could have been so much more than it was. And I was a little underwhelmed with it because they didn't give it a whole lot of time, and there were a lot of storytelling, little details that they could have done, they could have thrown in there, but they just didn't go for it. Like I said, Jade never got to cut a promo about this, and the whole thing was over very quickly. And I thought it should have been a lot more intense than it was. I just never reached that point. I'm not criticizing the wrestlers, not Jade or Marty, but I think creative let them down. Apparently, Moose from ROH is coming to TNA. Not confirmed, but it's looking more and more likely. So if he shows up at Destination X on Tuesday, don't be surprised. I just hope Gail doesn't win the title next week. So tired of her getting so many chances at the Knockouts title. Yeah, me too. Lordy. Let's, I lost my place again. Judging by the comments on Twitter, if the bromance wasn't hated before, they are now. Yeah. I fail to see how this is going to get them over as faces. Because people like the Decay. They're the cool heels that get cheered because they strike a chord. And so beating them, making fools of the Decay, that's not going to make people like the bromance. It's going to do the opposite. The bromance weren't over as faces already, and now this is just going to take them in the other direction. If their gimmick wasn't a crowd killer enough, now they got this. Pfft, whatever. Man Hardy can thank the dilapidated boat for saving his life. Yeah, that got dilapidated boat over. I saw dilapidated boat hashtags in my timeline on Tuesday night. I bet Dana White wishes he could send John Jones away in a dilapidated boat. According to Fight TV, TNA Bound for Glory will take place on September 11th. They haven't announced anything yet. Well, if they haven't announced anything yet, then it's not official, so... On September 11th, huh? Wow. Oh, boy. That feels like a mistake to me. If EC3 wins, do you think Drew should turn heel? I don't know if Drew should lose, because he's been losing. He's been on the losing end of a couple matches lately. I'm thinking more maybe like a double DQ or a double count out, or the match gets thrown out. Just something to turn up the heat and prolong the feud. I don't think anyone really needs to go over here. Damn it. I would like to see a Drew heel turn be one of the results of this feud, though. Props to Jeremy Borash, who produced the final deletion segment. Oh, hell yeah, he did a great job. Why was Lacey getting in more offense than Rosemary? Ironically, Lacey had more experience than Raquel when she debuted. I don't know. And I wasn't happy about it. Apparently the story was that the Decay were all like were out of sync and off base and just not working together because the Rosemary Bram thing just threw them all out of whack. But that's not how it came off. That's not how it was booked. You know, like I said, I didn't see them working out of the ordinary. They seem to be working more or less normally, except this time the Bromance were getting the better of them in the match, which was horseshit, in my opinion. Especially in this case. Raquel has no experience. She should not be getting the better of anyone right now. I mean, my God. For Christ's sake, Rebel is a veteran compared to Raquel, and now they've just... What do they see in her? Okay, maybe she'll turn into something eventually, but right now? This person shouldn't even be on TV. Broken Matt is like a cartoon villain. Yeah, he is. And I think embracing that is what made it work. It's like, I think until now, they didn't really realize what they'd done with the Broken Matt character. I think it coming off the way it did was kind of an accident, and they didn't realize it until afterward. And it wasn't until they embraced the ridiculousness of it that it turned into something entertaining. Ultimate X was a lot of fun. Props to Mandrews for the moonsault off the structure. Yeah, it was a fun match. And that moonsault was incredible. I would have liked an Ultimate X match to mean much. You know, that should be something that you promote ahead of time. It should be something that makes sense to do for all parties involved. You know, it shouldn't be something that you just throw out there randomly, just to punish a heel for something he did. You know, it should be a bigger deal than that. And it used to be, but it's not anymore, and that bothers me. I liked how there was no commentary for the Hardys match. Yeah, I liked that too. That was a nice touch. Thing is, I didn't even notice that there was no commentary while I was watching it. I didn't realize it until afterwards. Like, wow, the whole thing was the no commentary really added to the environment. It really added to the presentation of it. Made it feel different from everything else. I like that a lot. I think that was a good choice. Let's see. Never seen one match have so many people talking about it. The amount of shirts being bad, I think you mean being made, especially for that match, is crazy. Oh yeah, I've seen the shirt with like, Brother Nero, I knew you'd come. That's a shirt. They wasted no time making that a shirt, but the Decay didn't get a t-shirt for months. It's like, you Yeah, okay. The Decay do finally have a shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. It's a really cool shirt, too. Yeah, Decay finally have a shirt. It looks awesome. Yeah, it really does. I think Mike Bennett coming out and talking every week is getting old. Oh, I disagree. Mike Bennett talking segments are always good. I think Mike Bennett having talking segments with Dixie Carter is getting old. I don't think Dixie needs to be out there. I think Dixie enjoys being on the show a little bit too much. I would prefer she stay off the show unless she absolutely has to be on there for some reason. But yeah, I'm not going to complain about a Mike Bennett talking segment. Those always come off great. TNA may have new female talent, but it's still Gail's division, sadly. Yeah. It's like they announced this four-way for the Knockouts title on Destination X. It's Sienna defending against Jade, Gail, and Marty. Why is it not just Jade getting a one-on-one rematch? She should have a rematch clause in her contract, but instead it's a fatal four-way? What the fuck is this? Okay, how did Marty get a spot in this match? Is it? I guess because she pinned Jade, a couple weeks ago. Why is Gail in the match? She had a one-on-one title shot against Sienna and she lost. But now she's in the match anyway. So the loss to Sienna apparently meant nothing. It was just immediately swept under the rug, just like I said it would be. I don't want to resent Gail Kim, but that's what happened because of stuff like this. They focus on her so much. Even when she's not on the show, they find ways to make the division all about her. It's just not the way it should be anymore. TNA should book these live shows as bigger deals, make them the equivalent to B-show pay-per-views with only big matches, title changes that won't happen on a regular Impact, and minimal talking segments. Well, let us not forget that the last time they did a live show, it didn't work out so well. So I can see them being a little gun-shy about that. Because the only thing worse than doing a live show that has a ton of things go wrong would be doing a heavily promoted live show that has a ton of things go wrong. That could kill them even more. So, I don't disagree with what you're saying here, but they're working without a net when they do that type of stuff. Since the Bromance has cameras, why not have a Purge-like segment with the Decay and the Bromance? How creepy would that be to see the Decay on camera at night outside? You mean like the Purge movies? I don't watch the Purge movies because they're terrible. I see what you're going for, though. If those segments were played for horror, that would actually be more entertaining. Plus, this whole camera thing is something a heel would do anyway. So if the Decay kind of appropriated it for their use, I think that would be a lot more effective than what the Bromance are doing. Just acting like peeping Tom assholes that we're supposed to cheer for. Because that sure as hell doesn't work. WWE don't need final deletion. They have food fights to kick off shows. Oh, yeah. Because that was edge of your seat riveting television, wasn't it? And then you got, Kevin Owens was like hiding under a table or something. He jumps out and says, the food fight was over and I didn't get it messed up at all. And then somebody hits him with a pie in the face or something and he's like screaming his head off like, dude, it's a pie. It'll wash off. What do you... Jesus, calm down, man. Yeah, that was cutting edge TV right there. Let's see. Oh, holy crap. What's your opinion on Jay Lethal as the top guy in ROH compared to his TNA run? Do you think his current position would have worked in TNA? Well, I don't really know a lot about Jay Lethal's run in ROH because I'm not watching it. His run in TNA felt like he was grossly misused a lot of the time. God, the whole Black Machismo thing took forever to die out. That thing lasted like years past the expiration date. And he was historically a horribly booked champion. Horribly. He was one of, if not the worst X Division champion of all time. I don't mean that as a criticism of Jay Lethal, but the booking just absolutely murdered every single title reign he had. Every single one. I think he was one of the most prolific champions they had. Every single title reign sucked. Again, not because of anything Jay Lethal did, but because of how he was booked and how his character was written. He was a horrible champion. And apparently, in ROH, he's held on to the... He was like a... I don't know if is he still the world champion? Or is it somebody else now? Yeah, I guess he was like a long... He had the... Whatever, is it the TV title? I think he had the world title and the TV title for a while, and... he's the top guy now, and I guess they've made better use of him in ROH than TNA did. Because honestly, I really hated what TNA did with him a lot of the time. Okay, the Black Machismo thing was really over for a while, but Christ, that went on way too long. Then he turned into like a comedy character. It didn't work at all. It just... Maybe if they'd taken a more serious route with him, like ROH have, that would have worked better. But when Jay Lethal was being serious in TNA, it didn't come off well. And for Jay Lethal to have any life to him as a performer, he needed to be someone other than Jay Lethal. That was the problem I constantly had with him. Maybe he's grown as a performer since then to where that's not an issue. I don't know. Again, I'm not watching it. But maybe he had to go somewhere else to really find himself. Who knows? Hopefully there's no 2-hour-long Fez commercial on this week's live show. Fingers crossed, yeah. Because if all those extra viewers they got from Final Deletion tune in and see 2 hours of Donna Pinciani talking about how big her hands are, they're not going to stick around long. They're going to call the Final Deletion a fluke, and they're not going to come back. Let's see. The Saints Row video game series that was originally another Grand Theft Auto clone with high-speed vehicle hijinks and criminals and gang wars, but gradually completely embraced its own absurdity to the point that by Game 4, the main gang basically run the United States and have to save the world from an alien invasion. Yeah, basically. I guess it works because they embrace the absurdity of it. Yeah, I'm not really a gamer, so I haven't played Saints Row, so yeah. Final Deletion upped the viewership by 88,000 after months of trying. Matt Hardy finally draws. Yeah, it only took several months of him being a ratings killer, huh? Nice to know that his world title reign that drove the viewers away every single week finally led to something productive. I do think after the Brother Nero match, some people will be kind of disappointed, kind of let down. The back to standard wrestling type of feel, which probably doesn't interest them. Well, you never know. Congratulations, Matt, and apparently the bromance still suck. Rosemary making out with Bram, that's why she apparently wanted him in the Decay. Seriously? I don't like that either. Like I said, I think there's going to be more to this story. I hope there is. I think they can still turn this around to be something good for the Decay. Like saying like somehow this was all them just playing mind games with the bromance the whole time. Maybe it was all an act. We don't know yet. But this better turn into something that puts over the Decay. Because there is no reason to be putting the bromance over them. No reason. These guys need to be the Decay need to be dominating the tag team division until the Wolves come back, because that's really the only money feud you can make in the tag division right now until you have more teams to work with. Nothing else really matters in the tag division. The matches at Destination X need to be not just okay, but great in my opinion. Short of lackluster or forgettable matches won't help at all. Agreed. I think they've got potential. None of the matches they've announced sound like bad matches to me, so I think we'll be in good shape. Do you enjoy Bromance and Decay matches more than Grado Shera versus Tribunal matches? Which those matches really suck? Agreed. I think Decay Bromance probably deliver better matches. I have not found the Grado Shera versus Tribunal matches all that interesting. Al Snow and his whistle aren't helping. Plus, I don't think this is the right platform for the Tribunal to really show what they've got, which is why I haven't been terribly impressed with them so far. And I just don't like Grado and Shera in general. So, I don't like the Bromance either, but at least they've got Jesse Goddard's in there, who is becoming impressive. Let's see. So it's a question of a feud with one team I like versus a feud with a team I hate and a team that hasn't really proved itself yet. So Eddie loses the belt and all the focus through the build-up of Destination X, only to win it back at the last minute when all the hype was around Bennett. Apparently there's a ladder match next week involving the whole X division. Yeah. I didn't like Eddie losing the title only to win it back. I don't like the hot potato title changes. At least this seems like it was done for a reason, to get Mike Bennett so pissed off that he intends to ruin the show. So that's going to be a big thing. Could they have done it without the title change? Probably. I don't like the hot potato title change. They've done those entirely too much lately. Broken Matt Hardy versus Barry Allen. Who wins? I think Broken Matt wins. So Barry would speed up to Matt, but then he'd stop using his powers and he'd try to talk to Matt. And then Matt would attack Barry from behind with flying attack drones. And throw him in a grave with the Flash insignia on it and then light Barry on fire. And Barry wouldn't use his powers because Barry Allen is a fucking idiot. Like, now, broken, bumbling Matt's character is so bad it's good. Yeah, that's what we finally got into. Holy crap. What Culture just released an article called 10 Reasons TNA's The Final Deletion was a Shakespeare-level masterpiece. Wow. I'm going to read that as soon as I get done here. I think Mike Bennett will interfere in the Lashley-Eddie match. I just don't see either of them winning the other's belt. Yeah, that's where I'm at, too. Well, maybe they'll have Moose interfere for Mike Bennett. Who knows? I think they've at least tried to make Eddie a credible opponent for Lashley here. The match should be awesome if they get the right amount of time. They tried. I think they could have given Eddie a more compelling story to work with, and the lack of one doesn't help him. For the time they had, for the time they gave themselves, I think they did a good job with Eddie. I think they just could have done better. Yeah, Bram should team up with Jimmy Havoc if he's available. Jimmy Havoc would not be cleared to wrestle yet. Because he's got that knee injury. Usually when WWE attempts comedy, it's so childish it's terrible. They certainly never tap into a gold mine like the final deletion. Oh yeah, WWE comedy needs to always have quotations around it, like comedy. Yeah, I think the food fight was supposed to be comedy. It's just really lame. I think the Make Darren Young Great Again segments are supposed to be comedy. They're not. Yeah. What WWE thinks is comedy tends to be just really lame. Lethal is still ROH World Champion for like 13 months now. Jesus Christ. That long? Jesus, anyone's title reign is gonna feel stale after that much time. Jesus Christ. TNA needs to release a DVD of this whole Hardy's feud. They can actually make money from it, even though it might still not be over when Brother Nero returns, despite him being deleted. I think they'd be smart to do that. I don't know if they will, because neither guy has been in the WWE recently. Because it seems like the only time they release new DVDs these days. Like AJ Styles goes to WWE and suddenly TNA's releasing a big AJ Styles themed DVD. Yeah, okay. I see what you did there. But yeah, they should make a DVD out of this feud. I don't know if there's enough material for it for a full DVD, but they could give it a shot. The matches next week need to have enough time for it to be good. I mean, an 8-minute ladder match would be really dumb. Agreed? Ideally, I'd like it to get like 15 minutes or more. I don't know if it will, because when's the last time an X Division match got that long, really? You know? Even though it's Destination X, the focus is really not on the X Division. They didn't even announce that ladder match on the show. That was something they put a graphic on the Twitter page afterward. But they didn't announce it on the show, I'm pretty sure. Unless I missed something. Damn. Excuse me. So that kind of shows you where their priorities are at right now. TNA should release an extended video of Senor Benjamin preparing the battlefield for massacre. Maybe that's on the director's cut video that I haven't seen. Should have had qualifiers for the ladder match. Well, ideally, yeah. But that would mean that you'd have a winner and a loser, so you've got less bodies to throw into the big spot fest and less people to do spots. And that's really what the X Division are being treated as. They're being treated like spot monkeys, and that's all they're really there for. And I think that will be it for now. Thanks everybody for joining me today. I'm sorry we're still on the backup channel. I thought everything had been worked out, but apparently not. So I'm going to try to figure out what's wrong with the primary channel. And hopefully by next week we can get back to streaming things from there. I don't like that we're on the backup now, but it's a matter of necessity, I guess. Necessary evil, and just... I guess I should just be grateful that I thought to put up a backup, a couple of years ago. I never really used it until now. But now I have it, and I can use it to stream this until we get the primary channel sorted out. Whatever. So, thanks for joining. I will talk to you guys next weekend, hopefully on Saturday, unless I have to work. If I do have to work, I'll put up a notice on my Twitter page about it. And, yeah, that's it. So I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, over. Out.